Gilgaboo, Gilgaboo, Gilgaboo.
As Gilgaboo the Jarrow Falch Eru Gus Goll as Gaccan. Welcome to Goll as Gaccan, and I hope you've not been eating too many Uan shock lead, son and cased Easter eggs for the chocolate eggs, I should say, for the Easter. Anyway, let's get started with La Bamba from Los Lobos.
Goll as Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
Ruth couldn't make it today, but we caught up a few days ago, and there are various little bits of recordings of thoughts about Easter and the upcoming Balden that's almost upon us, Balden, and the Guild, of course, various things like that. But to start, neesht, the Easter. So the words associated with Easter, then the Manx words. What I suppose the first one is Easter Day. What's that?
So I suppose, the word for Easter is neesht, and so if you wanted to say, well, I'm thinking Easter Sunday, I guess, is be Jaduni. I think I'm going to just check. Is it Jaduni a neesht or Jaduni neesht? I'm going to just double check.
I would say Jaduni a neesht, but possibly even Dunacht and neesht.
Oh, yes.
Because sometimes
That's
Dunacht,
true.
which kind of means the Sabbath.
Yes. Now you mentioned that, Dunacht, that is much more the old way of saying it as well, isn't it? The Sabbath, yeah, Dunacht neesht for Easter Sunday. And then I think for Easter Friday or Good Friday, I've just heard Jehania neesht as well, like for just Good Friday, like Easter Friday.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to actually wish somebody a happy Easter, you could say Ceist Sana either Dut or Dew if you're speaking to lots of people, yeah. So Ceist Sana Dut for one person or Ceist Sana Dew. So that's nice. And chocolate is obviously a really
Well, it
important word.
is.
That's chocolate.
Yeah.
For anyone who hadn't worked out.
Chocolate as ooh and chocolate would be
Easter, chocolate eggs,
chocolate
yeah,
eggs.
Easter eggs, yeah,
As
absolutely.
ooh and a neesht, I suppose you'd have for
Yes.
Easter eggs.
Yes, absolutely. All the important words, absolutely. And you might see a rabbit, you might see a cunning. So, those are always good as well. But yes, if you wanted to just talk generally about Easter, then it's Caisht, and that's spelled Caisht, if people want to look that word up and any other words sort of surrounding it. You'll find a lot in the dictionary as well.
And find a lot on...
Oh, and of course on Learn Manx as well, learnmanx.com. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Which is a great resource full of all kinds of ways of learning Manx and finding out about the Manx language.
Go remind.
A little bit of Queen next with Killer Queen.
She keeps a Moet Chandon in a pretty cabinet. Every cake, she says, just like Marie Antoinette. A building remedy for Khrushchev and Kennedy. At any time, an invitation you can't decline. Caviar and cigarettes, well versed in etiquette, extraordinarily nice. She's a killer queen, gunpowder gelatine, dynamite with a laser beam, guaranteed to blow your mind. Recommended at the price, insatiable and appetite. Wanna try? To avoid complications, she never kept the same address. In conversation, she spoke just like a baroness. Middleman from China, but down to Geisha Minor. Then again, incidentally, me that way. Perfume came naturally from Paris, because she couldn't care less, fastidious and precise. She's a killer queen, gunpowder gelatine, dynamite with a laser beam, guaranteed to blow your mind. Drop of a hat, she's as willing as playful as the pussycat. Momentarily out of action, temporarily out of gas. You're absolutely dry. She's out to get you. She's a killer queen, gunpowder gelatine, dynamite with a laser beam, guaranteed to blow your mind. Recommended at the price, insatiable and appetite. Wanna try?
And we return now to the chat that Ruth and I had a few days ago. So other Easter-related activities, what other things are there? I mean, I know that we always used to go and roll eggs. You'd paint your egg, and once it was painted, you would then roll the egg. And we tended to go, because it was probably the steepest, most easily accessible hill, we tended to go just east of the Sound. You know, you head up the hill if you were going for the walk up to the chasms. And that first hill you come to, there's a few steps, I think, cut in to try and help the weary traveller climb up the hill. It is very, very steep, and we would climb up and then roll the eggs down there.
That's a particularly good slope for that.
Yes,
I'd say. Yeah,
absolutely.
because it's definitely slopey enough.
You certainly wouldn't. The egg wouldn't catch on a piece of grass and stop going down that slope. Anyway.
No, that's true. I was thinking when I was young, we did a lot of. Well, we definitely did the boiling of the eggs, but we'd add like gorse flowers and things like that to sort of get a nice natural dye. And I do remember from when I was young and being up at Neesht and helping out in Harry Kelly's, and we did a lot of natural dye. So it was, on the fire and that in the cast iron, you'd have lots of different things like onion skins as well. And so I kind of took those ideas back, and then at Easter time, I'd be adding all sorts to a little pot and making all sorts of different coloured eggs. And it was great fun. I must do it again. I haven't done it for years.
Yes,
so,
well, there you are. That's a good opportunity to do it. Although
That's it.
I don't know. Was it? I'm not sure. Does it have to be done on Easter Sunday, or can you do it at a different time?
I think Easter Sunday, but I'm not totally sure on that one. Again, if anyone knows, please let us know.
Did you really
should
say
really do that
again?
Oh no, I didn't. Oh, I did.
But yeah, I suppose there's still time, isn't there? If anyone's listening and fancies gathering some gorse flowers and boiling an egg or putting onion skins in. What colour does onion skins?
It depends what onion, I think, as well. Like I think you could do like a red onion, and that's obviously like a very light sort of pinky brown. I can't remember I think onion was just yellow. It's a very long time since I've done it. Yeah.
Well, we must experiment and find out for a future Easter Sunday. And now we have a couple of rather beautiful pieces of music. The first is by Mora Brethnach, and this is Gaelg na Cónlach. And I'm not sure what the second word is, but something to do with the moon as the first word, or the brightness at least. And then the second piece of music we'll hear from is Sting and Practical Arrangement.
Galas Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
Am I asking for the moon? Is it really so implausible that you and I could soon come to some kind of arrangement? I'm not asking for the moon. I've always been a realist when it's really nothing more than a simple rearrangement with one roof above our heads, a warm house to return to. We could start with separate beds. I could sleep alone or learn to. I'm not suggesting that we'd find some earthly paradise forever. I mean, how often does that happen now? The answer's probably never. But we could come to an arrangement, a practical arrangement, and you could learn to love me, given time. I'm not promising the moon, I'm not promising a rainbow, just a practical solution to a solitary life. I'd be a father to your boy, a shoulder you could lean on. How bad could it be to be my wife, with one roof above our heads, a warm house to return to? You wouldn't have to cook for me, you wouldn't have to learn to. I'm not suggesting that this proposition here could last forever. I've no intention of deceiving you. You're far too clever. But we could come to an arrangement, a practical arrangement, and perhaps you'd learn to love me, given time. It may not be the romance that you had in mind, but you could learn to love me, given
And now back to our little chat that Ruth and I had a few days ago. So you found some cheery and exciting.
Well, maybe not exciting for some people. It's a bit macabre. This actually, I've found this is always a tradition I often forget about. And one of the things we have on the Culture Van website is a section on Manx folklore, so you can sort of see all the different things throughout the year in the calendar that would be celebrated. Either, some of them are very current and still go on, or some of them are a little bit more historic and used to happen. And one of the things that used to happen, certainly I don't really know about it much now, but I read about it, is E Nu Marcus. And E is obviously night, Nu is the word for saint, and Marcus is Mark. So St. Mark's Eve. And this is quite a strange and unnerving time. So this is going to be happening on the 24th over to the 25th. So I think that's Thursday into Friday, if I'm right.
Yeah.
And basically at this time, as with the start of May, which is obviously coming up soon, and at Hoptune at the very end of October, the border between this world and the next world is very thin. And so you've got this kind of thin place going on, and we can glimpse something of a world that's normally inaccessible to us. And on that evening, on E Nu Marcus, just between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m, you can see the souls of those who are to die in the coming year as they leave their bodies. So if you go to a church porch and wait there between those hours, 11 p.m. and 1 a.m, you'll see these spirits. Those will be buried there in the graveyard over the coming year. But as I say, it's pretty macabre. I'm not going anywhere on that night. No way.
I'm
I'll
not
be
sure.
in my bed.
I'm not sure I particularly would want to do it.
Absolutely
Particularly
no.
Having just turned 60.
It's just not nice, is it? No, I don't love that one at all. I mean, it's very interesting to know about it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be racing out to any church porches that night. I'll be safely tucked up in bed.
The things the old Manx fellas used to do before they had telly. Eh?
Well, yes. Before Netflix and the like. Yes.
A couple of tracks coming up now. Summer, what does it say? Summer Sunshine, that's it, from The Cause. And then Subterranean Homesick Blues by Bob Dylan.
Everyone's changing, I stay the same. I'm the solo cello outside a chorus. I've got a secret, it's time for me to tell it. You've been keeping me warm. To sweet beginnings and bitter endings. In Coffee City, we borrowed heaven. Don't give it back, I've never felt so wanted. Are you taking me home? You tell me you have to go. The heat out, summer sunshine, I miss you like nobody else. In the heat out, summer sunshine, I'll kiss you, and nobody needs to know. Now that you've left me, there's no returning. I keep comparing, you're always winning. I try to be strong, but you'll never be more wanted. Will you make me at home? Don't tell me you have to go. The heat out, summer sunshine, I miss you like nobody else. In the heat out, summer sunshine, I'll kiss you, and nobody needs to know. Sweet beginnings and bitter endings. In Coffee City, we borrowed heaven. Don't give it back. Winter is coming, and I need to stay warm. The heat out, summer sunshine, I miss you like nobody else. In the heat out, summer sunshine, I kiss you, and nobody knows. In the heat out, summer sunshine, I miss you like nobody else. In the heat out, summer sunshine, I'll kiss you, and nobody needs to know. Sunshine.
Johnny's in the basement mixing up the medicine. I'm on the pavement thinking about the government. The man in a trench coat, badge out, laid off, says he's got a bad cough, wants to get it paid off. Look out, kid, it's something you did. God knows when, but you're doing it again. You better duck down the alleyway looking for a new friend. The man in a coonskin cap and a pig pen wants $11 bills. You only got 10. Maggie comes Fleetfoot, face full of black soot, talking at the heat, put plants in the bed, but the phone's tapped anyway. Maggie says the men say they must bust an early man. Orders from the DA. Look out, kid, don't matter what you did. Walk on your tiptoes, don't tie no bows. Better stay away from those that carry around a fire hose. Keep a clean nose, wash your plain clothes. You don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows. Oh, get sick, get well, hang around the inkwell, hang bell, hard to tell if anything is gonna sell. Try hard, get fought, get back, ride rail, get jail, jump bail, join the army if you fail. Look out, kid, you're gonna get hit by losers, cheaters, six-time users, hanging around the theaters. Girl by the whirlpools, looking for a new fool. Don't follow leaders or watch your parking meters. Oh, get born, keep warm, short pants, romance. Learn to dance, get dressed, get blessed. Try to be a success. 20 years of schooling and they put you on the day shift. Look out, kid, they keep it all hid. Better jump down a manhole, light yourself a candle. Don't wear sandals and try to avoid the scandals. Don't wanna be a bum, you better chew gum. The pump don't work cause the vandals took the handle.
Galas Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
So, you didn't choose this. I chose this for us. And not just because you were on the programme, but because I do quite like this song, and I particularly like the way that you sing it, and which is the song that I've chosen for us.
Well, firstly, Gurumaya, Phil, that's very kind, thank you. Well, the song you've chosen is Ujag Vara, and for people who maybe know both of those words or have heard those, but maybe don't know what the title means, Ujag is a bird, and Vara is of the sea, so it just means seabird. And yeah, it's a beautiful song, not written by myself, unfortunately. I can't claim fame for it, but it was written by Bob Carswell of excellent songwriting fame. And there's a few interesting things to listen out for in this song. Partly, so this is mine and my band's arrangement of it, but what we did was we used some sound, like actual recorded real sound effects in the song as well. And we wanted to kind of create quite a nice marine environment as well, because the song is all very environmentally focused. It's basically a conversation between a person and a seabird, and the seabird is sad basically, and the person's asking why, and it's because the seabird is saying, well, basically you're destroying the earth. And it was written by Bob as a response to the disaster at Windscale, Sellafield, a few years ago. So in the song, you've got things like pistol shrimp, the kind of snapping shrimp.
That's easy for you to say.
I know, yeah, yeah. So I mean, you might not hear it, like, you know, if you didn't know what it was, you might be thinking, what is those kind of weird little noises? There's sort of these little pops, and they were recorded by when I went up to Scotland to record this album. They were recorded by the person who was the sound engineer up there on the album, and he'd gone and done some underwater recording up in Ardnamurchan on the west coast of Scotland in this beautiful bay called Sana Bay, and so you can hear these little pops. And we tried doing other things as well, like, you know, just very sparse, free and kind of quite open arrangement to sort of let the melody and the words shine through.
And it is a beautiful memory. It is a beautiful melody, and let's have a listen to that now. So that was Ujigvara. Did we hear what did
Pistol
you do?
shrimp.
Pistol shrimp.
Oh, I hope you heard pistol shrimp. And,
Yes.
yeah, just popping away gently in there. I don't really know how they do the popping, but maybe just sort of little bursts of air popping out of their little crustaceous bodies.
Yeah, well, if anyone listening knows how a pistol shrimp makes its popping noise, either text in or email me, philgorn@manxradio.com, and we look forward to finding out. Anyway, we're into the Easter time. So, what traditions are there for in the Isle of Man relating to Easter?
Well, lots of different things, really. The first one that comes to mind for me, although I must say I do not partake in it, is going down to the beach on Good Friday in the morning and getting flitters or limpets from the rocks there and roasting them over a fire. And I don't think you're allowed to use any metal in the process. I feel like that's a key thing that you're not allowed to do. And then eating them for breakfast and then stamping out the embers in a little dance. But I can't say I've ever had a limpet to eat. Have you ever had a limpet?
I
or
haven't.
Flitter?
No, I've not. I mean, the flitter dance, for anyone knows it, is kind of a shuffly sort of a dance. Or the A part is a shuffle dance, and then the B part gets a bit more lively. But that kind of shuffle, or a stamp, if ever you've tried, as I used to as a young lad, to get a flitter or a limpet off the rocks, you kind of have to do that. You kind of have to give it a little bit of a kick with your foot. And one thing we as lads discovered is, if you don't get it the first time, you'll not get it the second, because they once they feel that they're being threatened, they seem to suck themselves really tight onto the rocks, and devil of a job to shift. I think I'm fairly sure that I heard many moons ago on one of Bob's Clare na Gael programmes that there was sorry, my voice is going. There was a flitter or a fair relating to the flitters down at Pool Vash round about this time of the year. Maybe I'll have a look and see can I find more reference to that. But it was certainly a thing. I guess if you want to demonstrate some level of penance at Easter time, eating a flitter is probably the right way to go about it.
I feel like they're sort of like the Manx equivalent of maybe an escargot. A snail, probably a little bit chewy and a little bit gummy, and they're going to roll around in your mouth a bit.
Anyone who's ate flitters listening into the programme again, do get in touch, because we'd be delighted to hear more about that.
Station Nation Radio Vanen.
Galas Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
San Francisco Bay, past B39. Can't remember what time. Got the waiting cab, stopped at the red light. Address I'm sure of, but it turned out just right. It started straight off, coming here as hell. That's his first words. We asked what he meant. He said, where you from? We told him our lot. Take a holiday. Is this what you want? To have an dress the same ways, only our accents change. So have a nice day. Have a nice day. Have a nice day. Have a nice day. Swim in the ocean, that be my dish. I'll drive around all day and kill processed fish. It's all money gum, no artists anymore. You're only in it now to make more, more, more. So have a nice day. 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 Have a nice
Station Nation Radio Vernon.
Guller's Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
So the Guild, of course, is almost upon us.
It is.
A major cultural event. There's no doubt about that in the particularly the musical life of the Isle of Man. It has elements of Manx traditional culture in it. Although I know Annie found a quote from Edward Elgar, who was very dismissive of Manx music.
Oh.
And he went down in my estimation.
I was just about to say that. I was like, boo, Elgar. I mean, he might write really beautiful music.
And his quote was associated in some way with the Guild. I can't remember what that was now, or maybe I've just made that up. But anyway, the Guild is upon us, and there are Manx language classes, there's Manx music classes, as well as all the other things that the Guild is well known for.
Absolutely. I mean, if you haven't got a programme, you can get one from various places in the island. I mean, they are literally everywhere. The committee are so hardworking, and it's all voluntary. They're doing an amazing job. So if you'd like to see some of what's going on, you could follow them on Facebook as well. They are officially, I suppose, known as the Manx Competitive Music, Speech and Dance Festival, to give it its full name. But on the island, we tend to call it the Guild, don't we? And that's how I've always called it, the Guild. And they definitely do a lot on social media, so it's great to follow them. So it starts next Saturday, the 26th of April, and it runs right through to the 3rd of May, inclusive. And there's so much going on. As you said, there's Manx language classes, so there's things like Bible reading or contemporary reading, and Manx songs, like traditional song classes and things like that. There are even some new classes this year, I think, for young'uns. So that'll be nice to see how those ones go down. You also get people competing in Manx in other general open classes as well, like the community choir class. I remember that was won last year by a community choir base made up of students and parents and from the Bunscoil Gaelg and some others outside of that as well. And they won that, and they did I think it was a 10-minute programme just in Manx, which was great. It was really fantastic. I got to hear it back on Judith Lay's programme.
Well, it's actually Uncare's the choir, and it just so happens that we've got it on the system. So,
oh my goodness.
And it's about 8 minutes.
Okay, very good though.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Well, let's have a listen.
Aye.
First of all, we are the Manx Gaelic Community Choir Uncare, and we are going to perform this evening Skeal and Van and Nairn, which is a sort of collection of folklore from the Manx Hills. You'll hear about a shepherd who encounters the little people, the plaintive song of a lonely bird, little Peggy who lives under a hedge, and finally we'll be lighting gorse fires on the hills to banish the winter on May Eve.
Riddlem diddlem, 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 tansy tay. Riddlem diddlem, 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 tansy tay. Mahiny Mac and Bridger and Lamb, Mahiny Harris a sledge, a Henry and a Dane, you beg of a shula red is down. Mahiny Mac and Bridger and Lamb, Mahiny Harris a sledge, a Henry and a Dane, you beg of a shula red is down. And swackle riddlem diddlem diddlem, riddlem diddlem, tansy tay. Mahiny Mac and Bridger and Lamb, Mahiny Harris a sledge, Mahiny Mac and Bridger and Lamb, Mahiny Mac and Bridger and Lamb, Mahiny Harris a sledge, Mahiny Harris a sledge. Thank me and a Dane you beggar, thank me and a Dane you beggar. The shula red is down, shula red is down. As swackle riddlem diddlem diddlem, riddlem diddlem, tansy tay. As swackle riddlem diddlem diddlem, riddlem diddlem, tansy tay. As swackle riddlem diddlem diddlem, riddlem diddlem, tansy tay. As swackle riddlem diddlem diddlem, riddlem diddlem, tansy tay. As swackle riddlem diddlem diddlem, riddlem diddlem, tansy tay. Mahiny Mac and Bridger and Lamb, Mahiny Harris the sledge. This legend, tow row row. Higus this legend, Kirit Virginia. Higus this legend, tow row row. Pirate Highnessness Legend, Kirit Virginia. Highnessness Legend, Tororo. Highnessness Legend, Kirit Virginia. Highnessness Legend, Tororo. Palavina, Kleinen, Golden Blessed Doris has Opereris, Golden Palavina, Kleinen, Golden Blessed Doris has Opereris,
He's a born again, godly man, but the devil is his biggest fan. A joke from a country's own trove. The only line that he's walking is to the bar and back again. My heart's broke with his country's own trope. Trucks, beer and football, thinks he's all a woman could need. But I ain't never gonna ride you, no Jolene. I won't be loosely, just gonna make you leave. I'm not the kind of girl who's gonna keep your car. I'll just go downtown and gossip in your favorite bar. Lord knows I won't let a country singer. His biggest hit on the radio's for a busty little blonde that he cheated on. There's no hope for that country song trope. He thinks misogyny's the French three-way, or cutting his beard would make him gay. Can't cope for this country song trope. Trucks, beer and football, thinks he's all a woman could need. Oh please, I ain't never gonna ride you, no Jolene. I won't be loose sleep, just gonna make you leave. I'm not the kind of girl who's gonna keep your car, but I might. I'll just go downtown and gossip in your favorite bar. Lord knows I won't let a saying, yeah, he's never gonna change.
Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
Radio Bannon.
Take the National Express when your life's in a mess. It'll make you smile. All human life is here, from the feeble old deer to the screaming child. From the student who knows that to have one of those would be suicide. Eternal pride, and everybody sings. Yeah. All right, we'll go where the air is free. On the National Express, there's a jolly hostess selling crisps and tea. She'll provide you with drinks and theatrical winks for a sky-high fee. Mini skirts were in style when she danced down the aisle back in '63. But it's hard to get by when your arse is the size of a small country. And everybody sings. Yeah. All right. We're going where the air is free. Tomorrow belongs to me.
When you're sad and feeling blue, with nothing better to do, don't just sit there feeling stressed. Take a trip on
The National Express. On the National Express. Let's go.
And I'm sure I heard them saying it like that.
And that's nonsense. Never heard it like that at all.
Well, this'll have to be one of those for Kane's place name campaign, don't you think?
So, if herself says it's time for a place name campaign, and I suppose we must obey. So what place name have you got for us this week?
Well, I was thinking with the lovely weather of May and the resurfacing of the roads ready for the TT races, it would be really good to talk about one of the places on the TT course. And the one I was thinking of is one that people will know, and they'll know how to say it, but they might not know what it means. And that place is the Creg na Bar, or Creg na Bear, as oh, the other way round. I'm going to say the other way round. Sorry, the Creg na Bar is how people say it nowadays, but I would usually say Creg na Bear. That's why I came out with that one first. So what does it mean? Well, you'd think with bar, which is how people say it, that it's something to do with sheep, but it's actually not. It's a different kind of animal.
It is indeed.
It is.
And we have an animal in Manx called a bua.
And that's a cow.
It's a cow.
Yeah, it's a cow.
But not a bear.
Not a bear. So what this is it is what we call the genitive, which means it's belonging to the cow. So Creg means rock, and then n, the of the, and bear is this genitive, is belonging to the cow. So what that place name actually means is rock of the cow. And it's interesting, in Manx you've got different words for rock. You've got Creg, and then another one you might come across, which is much more of like a kind of sea rock, is Carrick. But you do sometimes, you come across Creg as a sea rock as well as on land. So there's one in Port Erin called Cregliawer, which is long, just basically means long rock, and that's just coming out of Port Erin Harbour.
And of course we've also got Scare in Conister,
yes,
as it's become.
That's it. Cionisker, isn't it?
K's and C's in Manx sometimes change into T's. So Ushkia, which is the Gaelic and Irish form for water, we say Ushtia. But yes, the famous one is Conister. And often called Conister Rock, which means the head of the rock.
Yeah, because Cion is head, and you can use it for head as well, or it can be like the head of something. Yeah, exactly. So you could have Cion Vrada, which is Brada head. So there you've got that. Head of Brada. So back to Creg na Bear or Creg na Bar. So I say Creg na Bear, and you might be thinking, what are you on about saying bear, Ruth? Well, bear is how we would say of the cow, or of a cow in Manx. And over time, that place name has changed to become bar. And we know, if we look back at records, that it's been pronounced as bar since about the 1950s. So it's not that it's a very, very new thing that has been pronounced bar. It's been over 70 years that it's been pronounced that way. But bear is the traditional way of pronouncing it. So when I speak Manx, I would always say Creg na Bear. And then, to be honest, when I'm always talking about the place, I tend to default into Creg na Bear as well, just because it's in my normal habit to say it.
And that NY word, the kind of joining word in Manx place names, it's always n.
N. And you see it in places like Red na Folion, which is the way of the gull. That's that red, and there's double A often in Manx is pronounced air, but Red na Folion, so way of the gull, n. So you see it all the time, don't you? You see lag na Killia.
Yeah. And on the TT course, of course, the famous Cronk na Mona.
Cronk na Mona.
And there's you've got another. Well, Cronk is a hill, isn't it? And Namona of the Turbary. So the hill of the Turbary. So but it's always a n sound, and that's one of the hardest ones to get right with Manx place names, or indeed Manx pronunciation generally. People who see a Y sound and are familiar with English. Just don't get that actually it's an or a y.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because it's like, actually, I find that Welsh speakers don't ever get this wrong, because they have a Y on its own, or a YN, and that's pronounced or un, and that's exactly how it's obviously pronounced in Manx. And we have a little touch of that Welsh orthography in our way that Manx is written down, despite being a very different language. So if you're listening to this and you think, I'm not sure how to pronounce different bits of Manx, if you see an NY, like N for Norway, I don't really know my international phonetic alphabet. This is very clear.
Y for yellow.
Yeah, Y for yellow. N for Norway, Y for yellow. That's N. If you say M-Y, M for Mike, I can remember that one. That's M. And if you see D-Y, D for Delta, there you go. Then you've got Y for Yankee. There you go.
Yankee. Well, there
it's
we
in
are.
there somewhere.
Yeah.
Then that's a D. And it kind of goes on like that. Y on its own is an YN is un. So even if you know those bits, that'll make a big difference and that'll help.
Marvellous.
Station and action, riding over
Galas Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
Chiquitita, tell me what's wrong. You're enchained by your own sorrow. In your eyes, there is no hope for tomorrow. How I hate to see you like this. There is no way you can deny it. I can see that you're all so sad, so quiet. Chiquitita, tell me the truth. I'm a shoulder you can cry on. Your best friend, I'm the one you must rely on. You were always sure of yourself. Now I see you broken and feathered. I hope we can hash it out together. Chiquitita, you and I know how the heartaches come and they go and the stars they're leaving. You will be dancing once again and the pain will end. You will have no time for breathing. Chiquitita, you and I cry, but the sun is still in the sky and shining above you. Let me hear you sing once more like you did before. Sing a new song, Chiquitita. Try once more like you did before. Sing a new song, Chiquitita. So the walls came tumbling down, and your love turned low, not dwindled. All is gone, and it seems too hard to handle. Chiquitita, tell me the truth. There is no way you can deny it. I see that you're all so sad, so quiet. Chiquitita, you and I know how the heartaches come and they go and the scars they're leaving. You'll be dancing once again and the pain will end. You will have no time for breathing. Chiquitita, you and I cry, but the sun is still in the sky
And that was Chickatita from ABBA. Well, we appear to have exhausted our Easter customs. So shortly, not quite upon us yet, but shortly we'll be getting to the month of May. So let's have a look at some of those traditions. So we've got the month of May coming upon us fairly soon. Eve Alden, of course, was a big celebration. And you mentioned there about spirits leaving bodies and things, but this particularly, both the Ehauna, which is sort of Hopchanay night, and then Eve Alden, these were times where the spirit world and the world that we inhabit seem to get quite merged and
quite close together, and I think representing a change from the big seasons really. So you've got Ehauna, which is obviously the 31st of October, and that's really moving from a sort of period of summer, obviously it's autumn at that time, but summery autumn time right into sort of depth of winter really at the start of November. So interestingly, in the Manx calendar you find that November marks the start of winter, and then you've got November, December and January, they're counted as the winter months, and then actually February is marked at the beginning of spring, whereas we might think if you weren't a Manx speaker you might think actually more like December, January and February are the winter months. But yeah, the 1st of November shows that sort of marked move into the winter months, and then just at the other side, 6 months exactly, you've got the very start of May shows the move into the summer. And I really do think that the start of May is the start of summer here. Really, everything comes to life, everything's blooming, everything's full of life, and often the weather's at its very best in the May, isn't it? And it kind of goes downhill in August. It gets a bit, as my parents would say, back-endish. So as you say,
and I wonder, is it
change
connected as well? Well, it is, I'm sure, connected to people's experiences of the world, and their experience generally was an agricultural one.
Absolutely.
And winter time was the time where nothing was growing, and there was you had to. Generally, you would house your animals because it would be too cold and wet outside. And when you get round to, well, actually with me this year, we've had primroses out in December. But generally speaking, you would expect flowers and things to start peeping up and growing in February, which would be so the spring would be the time things grow.
Yeah.
The summer is the time things kind of thrive and enjoy the hopefully hot sunny weather and not the miserable owl rain we had last year. And then you get into the autumn months, which is effectively August, September and October in the Manx calendar, and that's the time that you harvest things.
Absolutely, and that's when you, as you say, you really do feel like that's when everything is in abundance, isn't it? It's those 3 months. So yeah, that's really how it's still kind of in 4 groups of 3 months, isn't it? You've got February, March, April is spring, May, June, July, summer, August, September, October is autumn, and then November, December and January is winter. So, but it's just a little bit of a shift. And I think, as you say, it's very much this relationship with the land and the sea and all of that, and this food and everything, agriculture. So back to your original question, because I went on a massive tangent, Go Malashal.
I can't even remember what the question was.
It was like, so at this time of year at Eve Alden, it's very sort of thinned between the spirit world and the real world, and then I just went off on a massive tangent about seasons. But it kind of is sort of linked, because as you have this link between winter going into summer at the very, very end of April into the start of May, you would have had like this sort of symbolic fight between winter and summer. And of course, summer's always going to win out, because, summer's coming, isn't it, at the start of May?
I'm not so sure it did. I think it was,
well, maybe
best,
not last
it was a
year.
score draw last year.
I think you're right, actually. It was a bit rubbish, wasn't it? I was about to say pants, but I'm going to go with pants. It was a bit pants.
Flying in the city of pants?
Absolutely, yes. Yes, indeed.
As we did last time.
Last time, if anyone remembers that one. So they did lots of different things, and we still do lots of different things to kind of mark the beginning of the summer and to bring good luck for the year ahead.
Well, we'll move on to that after the next song.
Lovely.
Time for another piece of music now, and this is Robin Hugh Bowen with Hen Aylwyd. I'm not quite sure what that means, but hen, I think, is old. But anyway, it's a Welsh piece of harp music. And that was Robin Hugh Bowen. So let's return to our chat about May, customs. A little bit early for May customs, but it'll be upon us soon enough, and we're giving you plenty of time to prepare. I remember when I was working at Neesht, we probably went overboard on all the May customs, because it's a really good time of year for things to do, and particularly visual stuff that you can do. So the sorts of things that you're supposed to do is put a load of yellow flowers around thresholds to buildings, and you make crush cairns, and the crush cairn, apparently they used to tie them to the tails of the cows, which was interesting. So I did that. I tied all these crush cairns that we'd made onto the tails of the cows that were still at that stage in the cow house, because it was, late April going into May. It's maybe a bit soon to be putting the cattle out. Possibly we could have had them out by then. But anyway, they were in and tied the crush cairns to the tails. And whether the look was kept as a result of the crush cairn or not, I'm not so sure. But all of the crush cairns were lying in the muck in the morning.
Well, I was wondering what they were thinking of them.
None of them were left on the tails.
None left on it. Oh, yeah. And for anyone who's listening and thinking, I don't know what a crush cairn is, what is a crush cairn, Philly?
Well, it is a cross made out of a cairn, which is, of course, the mountain ash tree, and you make these things by gathering wool and gathering little twigs from cairn trees. But what you mustn't do is use iron in any part of the process, and that's more difficult than it might appear. There's lots of wool. If you're looking for wool to tie the crush cairn, there's lots of that on barbed wire fences.
Yes, but you can't go near that.
But they're metal, you see, and so you need to find either wool that's been shed by the sheep that's just lying in the fields, which is more likely to be the case with the likes of a Lockton sheep, because they, being a primitive breed, they tend to shed their wool more readily than other sheep would. Or there's often bits of wool on gorse bushes and things like that that you can get a hold of, but then you've got to watch when you
don't
get gorse thorns in you. And then the cairn again, you have to snap the twigs. You're not to use metal to cut the twigs, and then you kind of do a version of spinning the wool into a thread that you can use to tie the crush cairn. And a crush cairn is kind of two equal sized pieces of stick that are tied together in the middle by wool, and those are supposed to be, if you have cows, tie them to the cows' tails, but don't expect them to be there in the morning. But again, a crush cairn is generally placed above the threshold of a door, entry into the home, whatever. And
I always think, do you know how long you're supposed to leave them? Because we've still got ours up in our house from last May, and we've got two. We've got one above the main entrance, and then we've got one above our living room. And I don't really know why, but I mean, I know the living room particularly needs any particular good luck, but we've got two there.
You haven't got any drafts?
Wee bit drafty.
Maybe there's stuff coming in through the window, bad luck of some sort.
Maybe.
So,
But I don't know whether you're supposed to leave them in there and just get rid of them at the very end of the year, or whether you should be adding, because otherwise you could end up with quite a large collection of crush cairn.
I think we worked on the principle that it would last a year and then
be replaced.
Replace it.
That's what I'll do this year. Then I shall replace it. So you've got the crush cairn, as you say. You've got your blech and bui, which are your yellow flowers, and then of course there was a symbolic fight, isn't there, between summer and winter, and people who are going to Eve Alden, the big event, not on the actual Eve Alden, which is the 30th of April, the very last day of April. It's actually being held on Sunday the 4th in Peel, but people will see this sort of symbolic fight as well as lots of bonfires. Very exciting.
We'll move on to that
exciting.
after the next piece of music.
Very good.
Galas Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
Radio Bannon.
And that is, of course, our cue for a Manx track. And we are getting, a little bit late, but better late than never, I always say. And this is Gaelg with some tunes. Hiding in the Wood.
Galas Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
And that was Blondie with Heart of Glass. Got a few more Easter words to quickly fit in. Jaloon Neesht was the Manx for Easter Monday, but it's also Jaloon Shawley is another way of saying Easter Monday. And Shawley, of course, means of sailing, the Monday of sailing. Anyway, time now for another piece of music, and it's A Little Time, the Beautiful South.
I need a little time to think it over. I need a little space just on my own. I need a little time to find my freedom. I need a little.
Funny how quick the milk turns sour, isn't it? Isn't it? Your face has been looking like that for hours, hasn't it? Hasn't it? Promises, promises turn to dust. Wedding bells just turn to rust. Trust into mistrust.
I need a little room to find myself. I need a little space to work it out. I need a little room all alone. I need a little.
You need a little room for your big head, don't you? Don't you? You need a little space for 1,000 beds, won't you? Won't you? Lips that promise, feel the worst. Tongue so sharp, the bubble bursts. Just into unjust.
I've had a little time to find the truth, and I've had a little room to check what's wrong. I've had a little time, and I still love you. I've had a little.
You had a little time and you had a little fun, didn't ya? Didn't ya? Well, you had yours, do you think I had none? Do ya? Do ya? The freedom that you wanted back is yours for good. I hope you're glad. Sad into unsaid. I had a little time to think it over. Had a little room to work it out. I found a little courage to call it off. I've had a little time. I've had a little time. I've had a little time. I've had a little time.
And we return to our conversation about May customs.
I think I remember reading about different accounts where they were saying people would be up on, up in the hills and making merry and sort of mischief and kind of almost wild with it, really. And
Blowing horns.
Blowing horns, that
Yes.
was what I'd read.
And I remember possibly when we were rather, an awful lot younger than we are today, I remember going up to Peel Hill with a horn to blow.
Brilliant.
And with various people who probably wouldn't like to be name checked on the radio, but we did a bit of horn blowing on the top of Peel Hill on May Eve.
It's a lovely time. I mean,
several years
it's
ago.
exciting, isn't it, to mark the start of summer? It's sort of a bit of a hootenanny type time, isn't it? You're just like, yeah, let's have a great time of it. And so, as you say, these traditions are extremely old, and although evolved, and there's the May Fire Festival is a more relatively new event, it still has, it's rooted in quite a lot of the traditions, and it'll be really exciting. I've got a few details in front of me just to kind of talk about it, really, because you've got live music performances, and there's going to be food and drink vendors, and I know that because we're involved in it, because we've been challenged to make a tree, which we've got to get on with, actually. because time is ticking on.
And we being Culture
we being Culture Vannon. So my colleague and I are going to do that in our own time and build a tree. We're doing an oak tree, and there's all these different people and organisations who are doing different trees, and they're going to form part of a ceremony, and then they get burnt ceremoniously. So that's really exciting. But there's loads and loads of stuff going on. There'll be torch bearers and song and a big parade with fire and everything. So it's definitely something to get involved with and have a look at. And that's in Peel on Sunday the 4th of May. And if you want to find out more about it, now we're going to spell Evolden because it's not the easiest thing to know how to spell. So E is spelled O-I-E, and that's our word for night. And then Volden is basically of May, so of Bolden. So Volden is V-O-A-L-D-Y-N, all one word. So E, one word, Volden. And if you look up, you can find there's a website and you can find out what's going on and the timeline and everything.
And of course, part of the ancient sort of tradition was this battle between winter and summer, and real battles were enacted, weren't they?
Oh yeah, I'd be on the summer side for absolute sure. I do like a cosy moment in the winter, but no, I'd be definitely in the summer. I'm a summer baby.
Yeah,
for sure. As are you, I would reckon.
Well,
to some extent,
it's I'm not sure. I would have a preference. Maybe summer. Let's go with summer because. But the winter has its attractions too.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
As it's Easter and I guess a time of reflection, I thought we'd finish the programme with Irina Grania by Barul.